Welcome to Spirit Outspoken, where we dive deep into the realms of spirituality, healing, and the beautiful chaos we call life.
From ancient traditions to modern practices, we are going to explore it all. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned seeker, you're guaranteed to find something that inspires, challenges, and intrigues you here.
So grab your favorite beverage, find a cozy spot to curl up, and join us for Spirit Outspoken. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Spirit Outspoken. We are so excited to have you with us today and looking forward to a little bit more chit chat on all things love. Aren't we, Miss Jasa?
Oh, we are. And today's topic is something I'm very interested in.
Yes, we are going to dive deep into the science and the benefits of love, but really looking at this from a biological standpoint of what happens within our bodies when we experience love and how does that happen and how have we been created to seek connection with other human beings. When we think about the act of love, it's actually a really scientific process that happens within our bodies on a physiological level,
Yes.
right? There's lots of chemicals and hormones and neurotransmitters involved all going on and making changes in our body and mind. And when we look at this, it really is proof that we are designed and hardwired for connection with others.
So I'm really excited about this topic because I think that there's so much to... Well, I think what it is it reaffirms my belief.
Yes.
I think that's
Totally.
what it is.
100%.
It's like this constant mission to learn and explore and understand what love is, what God is. We've talked about that previously. But I love it because it's a way to say, oh my gosh, the thing I instinctually know is true. There's proof of it.
Yes, totally.
We are meant to love.
Yes.
We are meant to love. Like when we break this down and when we talk about what we've discovered, nothing has been more obvious to me, which is cool, right?
Yeah, it is built into the way our
Yes.
bodies work. It is meant to be, and it helps us bond and attach with other people. And it makes so much sense when we reflect back on where we've been the last couple episodes that
Yes.
love is also the foundation
Mhm.
of pretty much every type of spiritual or religious practice out there.
It's true.
So we are going to take a look at exactly what different chemicals are initiated, activated, flowing around our body in the different stages of love. And that was something that was really interesting too, is to learn about stages, that love doesn't happen all at once. And we're going to also dive into some of the health benefits associated with that and look specifically at oxytocin, which people have probably heard of, but it's known
Yes.
as the love hormone.
The love drug.
Yeah. And we're also going to look at how we can naturally create more oxytocin in our lives through specific practices. And we have a really fun homework assignment for you this week. So we'll touch base on that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited.
Jasa, why don't you tell us more about these stages of love that I wasn't even really aware that they had been so clearly defined?
Yes, that was surprising to me as well. So with this, there's 3 different stages of love. The first one is lust. And then the second one is attraction. And the third one is known as attachment. And honestly, I don't love the word attachment. So maybe we just refer to it as like connection or bonding.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't know about you, but attachment, I'm like,
It can
ew,
have some negative connotations to
Clingy.
it. Yeah, clingy.
clingy, unhealthy. When we look at the 3 different stages, lust and attraction are involved in romantic love, right? That's
Sure.
pretty straightforward and obvious. And each of these stages have their own chemicals and physiological processes. Let's just talk about lust really quickly. So lust being phase 1 is that primal instinct, right? And that's really driven for reproduction and sexual gratification. That's where it all begins.
Right.
And it precedes any kind of emotional attachment. It's like when you perk up and you're like, hey, hello. It sparks your interest and your desire. That's really that primal drive for us to procreate. But
Yeah.
we all know that feeling. If we've, I feel like you should tell your story about Ryan.
Right.
You don't have to.
No, I can share it. So, yeah, I can relate to the lust phase when I met my husband. I was telling Jasa this story the other day and we were just laughing about it. I had been studying abroad in London and I came home and all of my roommates lived in this house in the fall semester when I was not there. And they had become really good friends with the boys next door. And I kept hearing about the boys next door, but had never met them. I was finally up at school after returning home and lo and behold, Ryan saunters out of his house to come over and say hi to the girls. And I said to Jason, I was like a little prairie dog, like popping out of a hole. I was like, hello. And that's immediately what I thought of when we started talking about this, was somebody who just piques your interest. You like the way they look. You're immediately like, hello,
hello there.
Howdy, partner.
No, that's hilarious. But
Yeah.
it's true, right? So what's happening physiologically is reproductive hormones are pumping through your system. That's testosterone, that's estrogen. We're familiar with those, but those are the ones that are primarily responsible for this phase. And both of those hormones increase in men and women. And that, of course, increases libido or that sexual attraction. So that's step one of, hey, you've piqued my interest. Lots of testosterone and estrogen. So the next is attraction. So attraction is where we see the happy hormones come into play. And that is when, if we're attracted to somebody, we've got good chemistry with them, we feel this connection. It goes beyond just the physical spark. Right?
So is this considered the giddy phase? When we were talking about different types of love.
Yes.
Oh, what was that one? Playful.
Yeah. Was that Lautia?
I'm glad we learned so much because I don't remember either.
I think it
like
is.
That playful, flirty.
I think it is, right? It's where you're developing those deeper romantic feelings. There's something that's beyond just the physical attraction. And I think it cannot just stop at the physical attraction. There has to be something that's playful, good banter, good dialogue, I don't know, commonality, and where you feel that connection. And that's really where that deeper attraction kicks in. So what's happening in our body? So there's an uptick in dopamine, norepinephrine, while simultaneously decreasing serotonin. And I think that this is really interesting.
I know. This was my favorite thing we learned.
This is really interesting. We'll get into that in a second. But for dopamine, that's really tied to pleasure and reward. So that's when we experience something pleasurable, we feel good about it. That could be eating food. It could be winning something, accomplishing something. It gives you that boost, right?
Isn't dopamine what's released when you are playing slot machines? Isn't that what's released? Or
yes,
even on social media, when someone likes something, it's a little hit of dopamine, right?
And that's addictive. So it's almost like you can become like, you can't stop thinking about this person and they're on your mind and all you want to do is see them.
You want more of them, more of them, more of them. Yes.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily obsessive, or I guess it could be. That kind of leads us to the decrease in serotonin. So this is really interesting, right? So when you decrease serotonin, which is involved with normally regulating your mood and your social behavior, things can happen where you do start obsessing about that person. You can't get them out of your mind. And I think we've all experienced that in new relationships. And what that can lead to is loss of appetite, difficulty sleeping. And when a lot of people have described feeling out of control when they're falling in love, it could be due to the plummeting serotonin levels.
Yeah. People with OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder also have low serotonin levels.
Oh, interesting.
So they think that might be part of why people have almost that little bit of obsessive quality as well.
Yes, like checking your phone. Did they text me? Did they text me? Or like that,
or
like
just
behavior,
thinking about them.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Stalking them on Instagram.
No, who does that?
Who does that?
Who does that?
Thank God I didn't have Instagram when I met Charlie.
My gosh.
We did have Facebook though, I think.
We had MySpace when I was in my 20s and out of college. That was my first.
I think we had MySpace in college. What year was MySpace?
I don't know.
2000.
I just remember getting on MySpace and spending a lot of time thinking about what song I was going to play on
and ranking your friends. Oh my God. Oh, so embarrassing. All right. So norepinephrine is another component of this little cocktail mixture of chemicals that's happening during this phase. So this is where you see fight or flight response. It increases your alertness, your arousal, your attention. And it's also the feeling you get from giddiness or euphoria.
Love that.
I know. And it's that antsy anticipation, like my heart's beating fast, or the butterflies in the tummy, or like
so fun.
It is fun. It is really fun. I remember feeling that around Charlie. There was just this feeling I got when I saw him
of being excited.
Oh my gosh, I would just be so excited. Or like my little I am would pop up from Bates Boy 22 at AOL. And I would be like, ooh, what are we going to do tonight?
Bates Boy 22. I want to know the story. What was the story behind that?
I think because he went to Bates College and he's a boy and his favorite number was 22. Don't give that kid a marketing degree. It was not very original, but I liked it. I remember it to this day.
I'm going to call Charlie Bates Boy.
Bates Boy.
Bates Boy.
All right. So you eventually move past the desire and the attraction phase, and you move into a deep-seated love connection or the attachment phase, that deep bonding type of love. Although this phase is related to romantic relationships, this is not limited to that. And this could be friendships, family members, your children. So I think that this is why we associate this so closely to spiritual love.
Yes.
Because this is that more universal, unconditional type of love that you can extend to others. So what's happening in your body? 2 specific chemicals are being released, oxytocin and vasopressin. Vasopressin promotes pair bonding, which I think is really interesting. And men are more sensitive to vasopressin than women.
I know. I thought that was so interesting. In some animal studies that they did, when vasopressin levels increased, this initiated monogamy, bonding, and a desire to protect their partners in male animals. And I just thought, isn't it interesting that men are more sensitive to that chemical when that's what it does? It promotes bonding, a desire to protect, and monogamy.
That's super
interesting. I think about the animal kingdom. They always talk about how the male animals, it's all about spreading their seed.
Yes.
And I just thought, is there a reason? Is there
maybe
a reason? It's to encourage a pairing up.
It's encouraging the men to chill out.
Keep it in your pants and keep it at home. I don't know.
Just control your pants.
Control.
Get your pants under control. Yeah, exactly. No, but that is worth noting. There's something that's interesting there that men are more prone to. So oxytocin, and here's really where we're going to get to the meat of the discussion. I really understood it as the chemical that gets released to initiate childbirth, to facilitate the cramping and then the breastfeeding. And I actually learned a little bit more about this. Oxytocin works on a positive feedback loop. So when your baby is in your uterus and starts to put pressure on the uterus, there are receptors in the uterus that release oxytocin. So the oxytocin then goes to your brain and is like, ooh, oxytocin's being created. And then it creates more in your body, which then facilitates the stronger uterine cramping to facilitate the childbirth.
Oh my gosh.
I know. How crazy is that? Yes.
It's like it senses when the child is too big.
Yes.
And then thus
because of a signal.
Yes. And then it's time to give birth, time for contractions to start.
That's exactly right.
That's fascinating.
It's fascinating. And then the other thing, it's similar to breastfeeding, where when the child starts nursing, it triggers that area and it sends a signal to your brain. Your brain creates more oxytocin. That creates the letdown.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Bonding attachment to our baby.
Exactly. And then the next step is that oxytocin is responsible for that deep bonding, emotional attachment that you feel towards your baby.
You know what? It's so funny you say that for a couple reasons.
Yes.
One, just when this is totally off topic, but when you were talking about breastfeeding and letdown, can we just take a moment to appreciate how good it feels when your breast milk lets down? I remember it's like having to go to the bathroom real bad and then finally being able to urinate.
Absolutely.
I just remember every time I was like,
Yeah, I know. And people paint this like magical thing that's supposed to happen with breastfeeding. I think media does a terrible job of giving women an expectation of what breastfeeding looks like. For me, it was like my nipples were cracked. They were bleeding. It was painful at times.
Yeah.
Once you got your sea legs, if you could survive it, for God's sakes, it did for me eventually turn into a positive experience where I felt like I actually could feel the oxytocin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the other thing I was going to say is I do recall some of my sweetest moments with my kids nursing them.
Yes, absolutely.
Like just watching them and feeling so in love and so in awe and so, oh my gosh, you're the most precious thing.
I know. There's nothing to explain it.
Yeah.
Except oxytocin.
It does. Oxytocin.
It does. And the thing I think is really interesting too, they're actually finding that postpartum depression can be from low oxytocin levels.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So I had 2 C-sections.
Yes.
So my body did not go through the normal contraction process.
Mm-hmm.
Could that have impacted my oxytocin levels, or would because I was nursing?
I would imagine it would impact it somehow.
Yes.
Like, I don't personally know. Like,
Yeah.
it's something that we should research, or, hey, listeners, if you know, let us know.
Yeah.
I would imagine it would. If you're missing a chunk of it, that would help kickstart that. I would imagine if you're not getting the feedback loop from the child.
It'd just be interesting. It was just a thought I had.
Did you have a problem with your milk coming in?
No.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe
I nursed like a champ.
But what that does to your oxytocin levels, maybe short-term and long-term.
Yeah. I'm just curious, because I remember some friends being like, oh, they were just on almost a high after giving birth. And I don't recall that.
I only hear that from people that didn't get an epidural. I think because you get like a rush of hormones, because like literally your body's in shock because of the pain. I signed right up for that epidural. I don't remember the high. I just remember being relieved. And just obviously the thrill of having your baby on you. But I didn't get like the runner's high that people got from birth. Like somebody once was like, I felt like I did drugs after.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did not. But I signed up for the easy pass.
Well, I did not get that far in the process. But when people would ask me my birthing plan, I was like, the epidural.
The one where I feel nothing.
Birthing plan.
Yes. You're like paralyzed from the waist down, please. Exactly.
No judgment.
No
However
judgment.
you want to do it.
No.
But that was my MO too.
Exactly. So let's talk about what oxytocin can really do for us. Oxytocin has unbelievable benefits I didn't even know existed. And it extends so much further beyond the process of bringing your child into the world and nourishing your child and bonding with your child. These are real physical and mental benefits. And what's really cool about it is that you don't have to be in labor, you guys, to create oxytocin, thank God, or have a baby sucking you dry, right? You don't have to do either of those things. There are ways that we can generate these naturally in our day-to-day lives.
Yes.
And it's things that are going to make you feel good all over. So this is great. And when people say love can heal, it literally can.
Yeah.
Like, I think I get the metaphor, right? Like, love can heal. It can heal relationships, but
emotional wounds.
Yes. But we're talking about real healing. Some of the basic ones are, of course, improves mood, stabilizes emotion, increasing your connection to loved ones. It enhances your desire and your arousal. Also has an impact on orgasms.
Woo woo.
Yeah, exactly. It promotes trust, empathy, positive communication. It actually also may have anti-aging benefits.
What?
I know. This is the one that I want to investigate. Like, where can I inject this into my face? Like, can it make me look younger? Do they have oxytocin in syringes? It also affects weight loss and cognitive function and social skills, and has the ability to lower blood pressure and cardiovascular risk. Also, the thing that I think is really cool is that in studies where there was stability, deep connection for individuals, maybe in a loving, caring relationship or marriage, wound healing happened way quicker compared to other individuals that didn't report that they were in such a loving or deep relationship, right? So literally having that connection can have an impact on your immune system and how your body is able to heal quicker.
I always see those, whether it's blue zones or other research done showing how, whether it's married couples or people who have connections, whether friendships or family, that they live longer, are happier, tend to be healthier. That doesn't surprise me. I guess I just never have really thought about it from a chemical, biological standpoint.
So one of the things that we found is that it increases your life expectancy. Not only do you live longer, just all up, but it lowers your risk of a heart attack and also developing certain cancers and pneumonia. Think about that.
Wild.
Love is boosting your immune system and increasing your body's natural ability to fight off infection or disease. How sweet is that?
Amazing.
So also, they found in happily married couples, there is a lower risk of cardiovascular disease. It reduces depression, feelings of isolation, and it increases your sense of belonging and happiness. Also, it decreases anxiety. They found that out through MRI scans, and it showed that when people who are involved in stable long-term relationships have greater activity and activation in the part of the brain that's responsible for the reward pleasure response and less activation in the area that's associated with anxiety.
That's so cool.
That's so cool. They see it. They could see it on an MRI scan, the true
Yes.
impact of love. Reducing stress obviously implies many benefits. We know that stress and depression are horrible for our physical health, right?
Right.
We've talked previously about how love and now understanding oxytocin, the love hormone, has a direct tie to reducing chronic pain.
Yeah.
I also thought this was really interesting. It helps your gut health.
Yeah. And you know what I think is interesting as a health coach?
Yes.
Is the connection between the gut-brain axis. So when we're looking at all of this
Totally.
and we're seeing, it helps with depression, it helps with anxiety, it helps with stress, it doesn't surprise me that it also helps our gut.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it all makes sense. And honestly, I think about what do we not even know about that yet? Think about how many emotions you feel in your stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There has to be some kind of tie to emotional energy and how that's stored and processed in our bodies.
We need to get into
And
somatic
our gut.
movement.
Yes. Oh, girl.
That's a whole nother
Don't
rabbit
talk
hole.
dirty to me. Oh my gosh. I wasn't ready for that.
Speaking my language.
All right. So I think we get it, right? Oxytocin is
So-
magical.
So many benefits. Let's
So
just call
many
it the
benefits.
unicorn of neurotransmitters.
It's the purple sparkling unicorn of neurotransmitters and hormones. We like it. We
Look
like it
at
a
you,
lot.
Oxytocin.
Yes. You're just showing off.
Do your thing.
All right. There's many ways that you can increase oxytocin. You can exercise. You can do like all of these different things. But the three things that we really want to focus on tie back to spiritual practice.
So to begin is one that we're quite familiar with, or you should be after last week's episode, which was all about meditation.
You better be.
Yeah, you
Rach
better
will
be
come
an
for you.
expert. So one way that we can help to boost oxytocin through meditation is to focus our mind on someone we love or care about. Also through metta meditation, a loving kindness meditation that we talked about in a previous episode. Go back and listen and do it if you haven't done it already. That's another
Yes.
way to boost your oxytocin level. And probably, again, why that practice is so healing and beneficial as they began to study it more and more, that metta really does have a lot of
we're learning
Yes.
why metta
Yeah.
really has such a
why it works.
huge impact on your body and your chemistry.
Yep. So go back and do your homework, ladies and men.
And men.
And
Hey,
men,
listen,
sorry.
we've got
we
some-
don't discriminate.
we have
here.
male followers.
That's true.
Honestly, you guys are awesome.
Yes.
It's not just our husbands either.
Okay. So another way that we can boost it is through empathetic listening and compassionate connections. So this, I think, is wonderful and a good reminder if you're married, if you're in any type of relationship, but especially for marriage and especially as a parent.
Yes.
Because what we're talking about here is really taking time to put all of your focus and time and energy into spending time listening, engaging, and talking with someone. When they talk about something important, put down anything that might distract you. I think about in the era of cell phones and Instagram and TV and calendars and busy schedules, to make sure that you have time where you just put everything aside and you focus and you talk and you engage. And how wonderful that is for both people involved, not just you. That actually helps the other person as well.
I completely agree. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel. Sometimes after girls' nights, I get a huge boost of oxytocin.
Yes.
And I'm just realizing this now because I don't know. When I'm catching up with a friend, like I don't like small talk.
Yeah,
I don't like
I don't
small
either.
talk. So if I'm connecting with a girlfriend, we're usually talking about something deep, or we're talking through real life issues and how people that I really deeply care about are doing. And that is intentional connection, focus, deliberate love and compassion towards that person that I'm choosing to spend time with.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing now that through that eye contact, through that complete attention to what I'm doing with that person, that's triggering oxytocin in me.
Yeah.
And I think that is what's so cool is that what you mentioned, like the spousal relationship and taking the time to really connect. It's so hard. It's so hard with jobs and distractions and sports and kids. Taking time to sit down and make that deliberate connection, I would argue that we probably do that more with friends and our spouses because it's like we're intentionally setting up time to catch up with our friends.
Yeah.
So that's why that feels so sacred, right? And granted, we're doing that with our spouses too, but how much of it is like running through the day-to-day chores or, okay, we got a second to catch up. What are we doing with pipe that just broke.
Yeah,
or
not logistics.
Yeah, not logistics. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you? Let's connect. And not in a forced way, but just taking time to do that.
Yeah, I have said to my husband many times, our date nights
Yes.
are life-giving for me.
Life-giving.
I value that time, and I see such a difference in our connection.
I completely agree.
When we used to be really good, when the kids were young, we just happened to have somebody on speed dial who was willing to do a once a week when we had it on the calendar. And we just had this discussion of, we need to get back to that
100%.
because not that anything's terribly wrong, but just I miss that weekly connection and focus time together where it is not all about logistics and you get this one here and I'll bring this one there and just focus time to chat.
You miss that weekly Oxytocin hit.
I do.
You do. You want more of it. You're addicted.
I am.
No, I completely agree. It's the same for me and Charlie. Like we intentionally do something together at least once a week. That's not only how we survive, that's how we thrive. And it's such a big difference in our relationship just to do that and have fun together, to talk about deep, meaningful things,
to
and connect.
Laugh and just
but I'm recognizing though through our dialogue today that it's the same thing with friends. I leave with that like, oh God, that just was so life-giving.
Yeah.
You know?
It really, truly is.
The last one, which I think is really awesome, is you can generate oxytocin naturally in your body through altruistic or selfless behaviors. So think about it as purely giving or caring for someone for the sake of doing that and not looking for anything in return. So that could be giving somebody a gift. We all know that feeling. Like giving somebody a great gift that you know they're going to love. There's no better feeling. I would argue it's so much better than receiving.
Yes.
It's the best. So doing that, or a random act of kindness, helping out a complete stranger, dusting the snow off somebody's car, or shoveling them out, or just doing something, even if people have no idea who you are or what you did, it gives you that boost of, oh my gosh, I'm giving. How cool is that?
Yeah. I think it just goes back to that point again, right? That we are hardwired for connection, for love, and to be of service to others.
Yes.
Because when we do those three things, oxytocin floods our system and we are happier, healthier, physically, mentally, emotionally.
You guys, we're just supposed to love people.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not just your spouse.
Love people.
Not just your kids. It's people, friends, strangers, people that drive you nuts.
Yeah.
Yes. And really what I'm taking away from not only this episode, but this whole season is how intentional we need to be about love.
Yes.
The impact that can have on us internally and externally, not even mentioning what it does for other people.
Yeah, I know. I want to make sure that we mention what the fun homework is this week. Based on everything we talked about today, we've created a 7-day Boost Your Oxytocin Challenge. Go to our website, spiritoutspoken.com, and we are going to link up a little download where you can have a checklist of things to do each and every day for a week and naturally get this good hormone just flowing through your body and just be a beacon of love and light and happiness.
Oh my God. I'm just picturing these little
hearts.
Glowworms. I went hearts.
Your
glowworms.
face is just going to be all lit up and sparkly.
Oh, I love it. That doesn't, if that doesn't sound good, I don't know what does. We're going to do it too. And we're going to report back. And please let us know. We want to know the changes that happen in your life. And I'm convinced we do this. You're like weird stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to get these like weird little signs and little messages that we're on the right path, because that's what happens when you intentionally choose to put good out in the world.
That's
it comes right back at you.
It does.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys. And before we sign off, don't forget, pass this episode along to a friend or a family member or anybody you think would find this interesting or beneficial. And don't forget, if you enjoyed it, leave us a comment on the podcast below. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. If you're ready to take your spirituality to the next level, be sure to check out our website, spiritoutspoken.com. There you can download free educational resources, read our latest blog posts, and join the Spirit Outspoken community.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Spirit Outspoken to stay up to date on news, happenings, shenanigans, and all things Spirit Outspoken.